I'm here with Omid. He is one of the Rainmaker course members. He's a nationwide wholesaler. And yeah, he's had some exciting things going on. Just started nailing some Novation deals, and he's really started scaling it. And now he's in multiple states doing Novation deals all over. So I wanted to bring him in and have him tell his story to everybody. How's it going, Omid?
Hey, Rich. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great.
Excellent, man. Well, thank you for taking time out of your day. I know you've got a lot going on with a lot of deals. I just wanted to have you give like an intro to the people and kind of tell them, where you're at, how you started in real estate, maybe what you're doing beforehand, and just kind of like your journey here.
Okay. So I started in real estate about 18 months ago. Before that, I've always been an entrepreneur. So I have been having my own business since 2006-ish. I was in manufacturing, and to be specific, CD, DVD manufacturing. I would work with a lot of studios and record labels here in Los Angeles, where I'm from. And throughout this process, I also worked on a couple of startups. So I had a good sense of what it kind of takes to run a business. When COVID happened, my main bread and butter of manufacturing of CD and DVD media for the music and film industry kind of dropped down drastically because there were no events, there was no Coachella, there was no big events into display products in software or in hardware. So I had to kind of like reinvent myself, so to speak. And I had like this vision board that I always looked at in terms of like what I want to accomplish or achieve. And I was at the point I really didn't know what kind of industry to get started in. And there was this one picture that I would consistently look at, which was this beautiful property that I want to own one day for me and my family. So I was like, if this is like something that gives me hyped up so much, why don't I go into the industry that complements exactly that? So that's just how I decided from one day to another, I'm going to go into real estate. But I knew I don't want to be an agent. So I grabbed a lot of books, read, went through 3 months of just studying, and then started taking action in January of 2022. And started traditionally just like everyone does, just thinking about wholesale, but with the end goal of buying and holding. Fast forward, I was able to start with excelling in lead generation. I started to educate myself in sales and acquisition. I started to pivot then to dispo. It's like these pivotal stages that you have to go through to learning phases. And ultimately, I got to a bottleneck where I was like, I don't have enough exit strategies in my tool belt. Like I make cash offers, but we know how many FUs you get from cash offers, right? I know creative financing, I know all these other things, but there was something missing that was not as creative, but yet not as low ball as a cash offer, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
And I had this deal. It started this year, actually, in March. So 1 year in Arizona, and I got the deal on a very good. It was a good price. I got on the contract for about 222, no 322. ARB was about 400. But in the area where it was in, investors were just not as interested in. They wanted even a bigger spread. And it was also in that phase of the market, pre-spring this year, where everyone was kind of like still like afraid. They didn't really know what to do. And I was like, maybe I should just list it. Maybe I should just list it. And then I came across your content. I signed up. I saw how you're doing it, how you deal with it. I decided to start Novation. And since then, I mean, how many months is it? March, April, May, June. So 4 months. I have done only with Novation. Let me just look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 deals, and I have 4 pending. So when I do not I'm not overrating it. The amount of more deals I got because I found this in between creative financing and cash offers was just a perfect sweet spot of entering a new market segment where I can control a deal and get it to the finish line.
I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, you really, man, your past experience really helped you jumpstart. Like, that's crazy. Like I had no idea that you'd only been in the business 18 months. Like I was thinking, you've been running this for like years and years. That's absolutely phenomenal, man. So,
Yeah, thank you.
and I think you nailed it too, right? With the sweet spot, especially when you're an effective marketer, right? Because you said you've been handling a lot of like the marketing yourself, right? So you get all these leads coming in, and then you have these leads where you're like, look, they're willing to take a discount. I know there's margin in here, but it's not feasible for us to like buy every one of these properties and wholesale it and either pay hard money or risk our money and go through that whole process. And this is kind of like the sweet spot because there's literally like zero competition too. Like, have you ever had a seller where they
Yeah.
said like, oh, someone gave me an offer just like this?
Yeah, it's the beautiful part of this concept of yours and what we are doing here is it is a sweet spot. One, it is not as saturated, right? There are not too many people trying to pitch the same thing. At the same time, there's a lot of people in the game that are can I be just myself and talk like freely how
Absolutely.
okay.
Be candid.
There
We're
are a
all friends
lot of
here.
people in this game, like agents. We all wholesalers know there are a lot of 99% of agents are bullshit. 1% are actually good, right? In the wholesale business, the same thing. Most people like are going the easy route. They just want to wholesale without educating themselves to actually first scale, right? And once you understand that and you're willing to learn, you will realize what segments within the market are oversaturated and where there's little competition or no competition. And this novation process opens a whole new opportunity for you. Why? Because there are not too many people pitching it. Because like I did the first year, oh fuck, he rejected my cash offer, but he's still $30,000-$40,000 under asking, but I have no clue what to do with it. Fuck, I invested right now so much money for lead generation. I did the acquisition. I've been following up with this dude for 2 months. Even though he's selling at $40,000 discount, I'm handicapped. Well, with Novation, you're not handicapped. You can actually make a lot of money with it.
Yeah, and a lot of people find too, especially like if you're doing online marketing and more where you're getting inbound stuff coming in, that base level of motivation is there. And a lot of them do have problems to solve. And the segment of your overall leads that come in that could be a fit for Novation, most of the time it ends up being the biggest segment. And then you'll still capture the wholesale deals where it's like a beat up property, the person has a bunch of problems, they're willing to sell at a massive discount, and you can flip it off market. And you can still flip it off market, or you can even put it on the MLS as is cash only and really open it up. And especially in like smaller markets, that's huge because there may not be like professional fix and flippers there, but there are people that are qualified, interested in it, and they're looking on the MLS, most of them. They either have an agent or they're looking themselves. So, because that one you were talking about, it was in like a smaller town in Arizona, right? It wasn't like Phoenix or
No, it was
Tucson.
Phoenix. It was
Oh,
Phoenix.
it wasn't Phoenix.
I
Oh, okay.
pitched it to
Interesting.
all my cash buyers and they wanted to have a bigger discount, bigger discount, bigger discount.
Mm,
And I was like, this is a good deal. I'm not going to lose this because of this nonsense. And you know, sometimes you get in situations where you're getting pushed into another segment, even though you didn't plan to, because you want to take action. It's just not right to lose on a deal. You fight for it. And there was this one deal that I fought for it, and that just opened up. I mean, to just give you a comparison, before my cash earnings on spreads were 20,000, sometimes 50, sometimes 10, sometimes 5. In average on my novations, I make at least 25 to 35. I mean,
nice. So you're thinking it's more of a consistent spread and
yeah,
flow,
I
less
always go for
all
it.
over the place.
I always go for it. If it's just too small, if it's just 5K, me personally, I don't want to put too much work into it because the reward is just not there. The opportunity cost of me dealing with other projects at that time is higher. But that's how I started. My first couple of deals were just $2,000-$3,000. Used to be, right? So
Right. And especially when you're first starting out, it's like a win's a win. Like you've
you're
already put the
desperate.
money
You're
out, you
desperate. You
already
just
put
want
the
to get a
time
deal.
out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
once you get some under, once you have that flow, then you realize like a lot of times the smaller deals can be taking away from bigger opportunities. And if something goes wrong in a small deal, like you can end up making nothing, and then you know what I mean, or the deal
Mm,
falls apart too.
yeah. Yeah.
Killer. Well, what do you think were some of your
Richard, I think you cut out. Are you still there?
Yeah. Can you see me?
Yeah, I see you.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. Here I'll ask again. So like when you're going through the training, like what were some like key takeaways or like pivotal moments where things clicked that helped just kind of push you over to the other side to Novations?
Okay, yeah, very good question. Now, because I was doing a lot of cash offers prior and acquisition, build up my whole system, I was already at the stage where I felt comfortable talking to people, right? So I didn't have to go over that hurdle. Even though your content is amazing, because there were certain parts where I still felt not comfortable, because Novation is a whole nother process. Power of attorney, sign the offer, right? Those pivotal stages where things could go sideways. And
Sure.
the biggest things that for me was really valuable, how you always said, like, you just say it like it's not a big deal. It's a part of the process. And as long as you say it like it's not a big deal and it's a part of the process and you believe it, and you can only believe it once you do one deal, to be honest, at least for me, I had to do that one deal innovation for me to see, oh my God, that actually worked. Then you just pitch it very normal. Like, so the confidence within how you speak to the sellers, I like that a lot, because that gave me that confidence to do it as well. And the process of how you explain it, how to get started, how to lean into, like, hey, we have this service, not everyone gets approved, but you know what, if I could get it approved, we can list it and all this other stuff. So that was very important, because I think the most what people struggle with or people reach out to me with is always like, how do I convince the seller to do it? Or how do I go in pitching it? Or how do I overcome these pushback questions in order to get that deal to the finish line? So I think just that aspect, and there's so much more in your program, is so valuable that if you really dig in deep, you can definitely get a deal within the first month.
Oh, man, you hit some major gems, right? Of, you know, just taking them through the process and not putting them in a position where they feel like they're making a major decision, right? And that's like the big hack, right? Of just acting as if and moving it through. And it's nice too to see other people doing deals and to see like, oh wow, like this really is a thing. This is real. It's happening. And it helps you buy into it. And that's kind of one cool thing on why I want to do like more case studies with the course members like yourself, right? Because we all are coming from different perspectives. We all have different backgrounds, and we're all nailing these same deals. I like to see like what the commonality is between everybody on like what the things were that helped them really get over that hump. Because for you to be doing that many Novation deals, well, a lot of people are going out of business right now, like insane. You know what I mean? You're coming from the manufacturing world, and you just took your initiative with this and are just like killing it, man. I love to hear that. And you're based out of Los Angeles too, but you're doing deals all over the country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is awesome. So, dude, this is great, man. Can you give
Well, by the
everybody
way,
like?
by the way, thanks to you, because you've been a big part of it.
Well, I'm honored.
Yeah.
I'm
Thanks
honored,
to you,
man.
because
I
you've been a
love
big
that.
part of it. Every time I talk about Novation, and people reach out to me all the time, ask questions, I help them out along the process. But I always say, like, you know what, Rich is the guy, because I didn't have the contracts to use. Rich gave it to me, right? I didn't have the process really in sync and understand what happens if someone says, I don't want to sign the the power of attorney. Rich taught that to me, right? So thanks to you, I literally the last 3 months made probably about 380K on Novation, right? So it's thanks to you. I do have to say that, because you are a big part of it, even though we don't speak every day, but it happened with you.
I love that. Well, thank you, brother. Thank you for giving me my flowers. Well, I can still smell them. Definitely appreciate that. And that, dude, that was my goal, was to help other people just like me, because I saw the opportunity, right? And I started nailing the deals, and I'm nailing the deals by myself. And I'm like, well, there's other people that can benefit from this. Like, I'm never going to be able to suck up every deal that's available. So, kind of the cool thing with us all networking too, like we've been able to help each other in different ways. Like, I hooked you up with Don, our realtor in Georgia. Great. He's a great dude. He did a great job on our deals, and I know you guys have been working together a lot. And like just through the community and everything, we all have all these connections that are like mutually beneficial with all of us, which is really cool. And we can learn from each other's experience too, where we don't have to make the mistakes all ourselves. Like if one course member has a mistake, like has something go bad, they can put it in the group, and we all can like make like a new process. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of moving parts with these, especially if you're in different states with different laws. You're dealing with different lenders all the time. You're dealing with different
Yeah.
agents. You know what I mean? Where it's always a work in progress, where we're always trying to just dial things in and find the new best way to do it. And it's kind of fluid, there's not just like one way to do it all the time.
Mm.
You got to get creative and get resourceful sometimes. So I want to ask you too. So you're nailing all these deals, making a doctor's salary in the first quarter of the year, right? Just crushing it. Um, do you have like a big, massive office filled with people? Do you have a big team? Are you doing it solo dolo? Do you have a small team? What does your team look like?
So I will let you know about my team, and I will also let you know where my bottleneck is and where I want to be, and I'm not there yet. Okay. So my whole process is I always think long term where I want to be. So whoever is starting this, don't think about the $20,000 assignment, $10,000 assignment. Think about where you want to be in 5 years or 10 years and build to that level, right? So my whole goal is building a team. Now I started hiring VAs for my lead generation aspect, and I do it through text blasting. I hired them and they're working for me now. I have 3 people on the team in lead generation. They've been working for me for the last year, I would say. And then
Awesome.
I hired also people on the acquisition side. But I was not in that level to be able to afford people in the acquisition side in the United States. I was only able to afford them from the Philippines or from Egypt, right? And I noticed no matter how much you train these guys, it's just not going to work out. So what I did is, and that's where my business actually took off. And yet it is my bottleneck, ironically, paradoxically. I started doing all the acquisitions myself, calls, because I sift them through 2 processes. My VAs either schedule an appointment with me through going through the 4 pillars, which is motivation, timeline, condition, and price. And if that is all right and they're responding, they schedule a call with me. So when I go on the phone with them, hey, this is Omid. We had a call scheduled about Rich Street. Did I catch you at a bad time, right? So it starts off not as a cold call. But then also I have the other segment, which is cold push. A cold push is basically they have responded, but we really were not able to get to the first tier of schedule an appointment. Those cold pushes where there is a little bit motivation, but it's not yet scheduled. Those are second tier leads. They're like secondhand citizens, so to speak, in my world, right? So I don't prioritize them too much. So to answer your question, I do have a team. I'm just in my office. I have 3 screens and I knock it out every day, right? On the lead generation side, I have 3 VAs. I use launch control. My capabilities are to push to send about 10,000 SMS a day. I don't max it, but that comes also with pulling list and skip tracing. That costs money too. But from the acquisition side, and here's my bottleneck, I'm the one doing the sales. Now, if I'm the one doing the sales, I'm not able to do what a CEO does, a business owner, scale my business. So that is my problem right now. So right now, with the money that I made, I'm not going to blow it up and spend money on shit on it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find myself good quality people in the United States that I kind of cut a deal with, so I can train them to do calls for me so I can go and scale even further. My goal is to close every month at least 10 deals this year, and I want to reach it this year. So with that being said, in contrast to what my goals are, my team is not that big. And when I started, it was just me.
I think you're doing the right thing by continuing to do deals, slowly expanding. Because a lot of people, they'll make some money. I was talking to someone else earlier about this, and they'll go and hire a big staff, and they're like, okay, I'm the CEO now. all right, guys, get to work. And then like they end
Not
up
gonna
having
work.
they end up having a bunch of problems, right?
Yeah.
Because you realize like, oh wow, like yeah, these guys aren't doing things the same way that I would do it. So I think it's good because you the first thing you did was outsource lead generation, which is important. Like I would recommend to everybody to either do that when you first start or as soon as you possibly can, because that's not going to be the best use of your time. It's not a money making activity, right? It's just a marketing
It's not.
activity.
It's not. But there's
Uh,
also two ways to go about it, right? Going through the agent side or going through it and running it through yourself. Because if you run it through yourself, you still have to be hands-on and make sure those people do their job. Going through an agent is going to cost you more, and you have less control depending on your
yeah,
situation, what you can
there's
afford.
pluses and minuses to
Yeah.
both ways, right? And I know people that do it both ways. Like me personally, I would be the type to get an agent, like an agency to do it, just because I wouldn't want like for the extra $2, $3 an hour, I don't want to have to train them. You know what I mean? And have
Mm,
to keep up after them and someone's sick and all
mm.
that. But I know people that have run teams like that have done great. On the acquisition side too, like one, now that you're putting yourself out there more, right? And people know, like, obviously, you know what you're doing, you're making a ton of money. And I think for any high level salesperson to be able to work directly with you would be a monumental opportunity, especially with you having a big vision of growing the company. There's probably plenty of room for them to grow with you. So I no doubt in my mind, the right person's going to come along and help you and be able to work one on one with you, absorb your knowledge, and help you build everything. So I think that's great, man. I think that's great, and I'm excited for whoever you end up selecting to be a part of that.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, like I said, a lot of people in the game are talkers, not doers. I'm looking for doers and action takers, and sometimes finding those action takers takes just some time. You know.
Well, I'm a big fan of commission only because that shows that they believe in themselves, right?
Mm.
As well, right? So that's like I've got closers working for me, and they're all on commission only, and they understand that the real value too of us working together. Yes, they're going to make great money, but the value is
I
getting the
agree.
skills and learning the business. So
Where do
no,
you
that's
find
great.
them? Where do you find them?
They're all from the Rainmaker training course.
Really? Maybe I
So they're
should hit
all
up
people
some
from
people up there.
within the course that I know have done deals before,
Mhm.
and good salespeople will always be in high demand, and good negotiators,
Need
good
them.
communicators, and that's
Yeah,
the advice I always give people too. Is like, hey, look, if you're not sure what direction to go, sales and working on your communication will help you no matter what vehicle you end up in. It's always like a valued skill.
100%.
So.
100%.
Definitely appreciate you sharing all this with us. Like you dropped some massive bombs. Like I'm going to go back and listen to all this too. Incredibly inspiring story. You know what I mean? Getting Kava and COVID and DVD and CD
Yeah,
manufacturing and
yeah.
flipping it to this and being able to pull all this off. A chance meeting of us online. You just taking a chance and getting into the training, and it ended up like really transforming your entire business model. Where now you have this whole new lane that you're just plugging them through. So
Yeah, absolutely. The main questions that I get from people that are interested in this concept is they're usually afraid of the obstacles, right? So I think touching on those might be beneficial as well in terms of like um, a lot of people are very worried, and I was worried about the power of attorney, right? And I know a lot of people still do power of attorney. I stopped doing power of attorney all over. I don't even do power of attorney anymore, right? So
same.
I know you too, yeah. Because at
Yeah,
this point,
AIF just
yeah,
for listing.
yeah, I explained to them from the beginning what our goal is. We're going to sell it to an end buyer, and nothing's going to change on their agreement with us. That they're still going to get the same amount, but I do need their collaboration throughout this process. So when an offer comes in, even $60,000, $70,000 more than what they asked for, they just sign it because we had that agreement prior to that. But also, I have had some twice a deal I had to save this way. And I think that is something worth sharing as well. If in any case, let's say they come back and say, you know what, you sell my property for 280 and I'm selling to you for 240, I'm not going to sign it. I want to get out of it. I've heard that, right? Or you know what, we changed our mind. We don't want to sell anymore. What happened? We just changed our mind. That happens too. But what I learned, what helped for me, the first deal, I had to actually give that person $15,000 more in order to get going. But then I learned from that experience, and then twice again it happened later. And what I said is, absolutely, you want to cancel? 100%, not a problem. Let title know to send you a cancellation letter and the memorandum of affidavit. And they say, what do you mean? Well, the memorandum is basically, we have a lien against your property because we were supposed to buy the property. But since we are not buying it anymore, if you do decide to sell it, we have first rights of refusal. So you have to let us know, and we will decide if you want to buy it or not, based on the price we have agreed upon. And they're like, what? Yeah, I mean, if you don't want to sell anymore, it's all good. But if you do decide to sell it to someone else, because that has happened, just be aware you will probably not be able to close with the other party because we have a memorandum, which is first rights of refusal. Twice after that, we did the inspection, they signed everything went well. So you got to have these little tools in your toolboxes in order for you to navigate through these situations. Not all of them are smooth. Sometimes you get pushbacks later because greed, we all have it. I have it. We all have it sometimes, right? You think like, oh my gosh, this guy's coming and is making $40,000 more of my property. I don't want that to happen, right? But if you stay professional and do everything right legally, you should be able really to take them to the closing line. I mean, I had from all these deals, only one of them not working out, and it was because of me, because I comped it wrong. That was the only reason.
So it was just locked up too high and it wasn't.
Yeah. I just the area was scattered. I got excited. It was one of the earlier deals too, and I realized, what did you do here? You were too hyped up and not really rational. But all the other deals, I usually get them on the finish line, no matter what. And I did file a memorandum twice, just for security purposes, right? Just to protect myself, because I thought, I worked so hard. I paid for the lead gen. I did the acquisition. I did everything. If you do decide to sell it, even 1 year from now, right, I should have a memorandum set up so it comes back to me because I did all the legwork. So I think that is important, because you want to protect yourself and your business as well, while making sure you can get people confidently to the finish line. And another thing that helps is saying like, hey, you know what? I know people come and promise you prices, but at the end of the day, I can tell you that 100% of all the deals that we commit to, we close, which I don't know how it is with the other people, right? And they want to always close. They don't want, just because of $10,000, lose an entire deal because the person cannot close at the end. And there's a lot of strategies about that, which I'm happy to talk about. But I just wanted to mention that because I get that question quite a lot about this specific part of that process.
Nice. Yeah. And another caveat to that too is, the better you get at setting expectations and the better you get at managing the seller's emotions throughout the process, because a lot of these sellers, they have other problems going on, and there might be little mini crises that happen. And if you're able to effectively solve those problems, then you'll get very, very little people upset about you making money, because they've been treated so well, right? And their expectations are being met. Those are the two things that cause people to want to back out, is either their expectations are not lining up with what's happening, or they feel like it's an unfair thing, like you're making too much money or whatever. But one way to alleviate that is just make sure throughout the whole process that you're doing everything you can to make their life easier, where they feel like they really are getting the hands-off, white glove service. You know what I mean?
I invited them to lunch. I send them movie tickets. I do stuff. I hire someone that comes and cleans up their place when they move. These little add-ons, it's just a few $100 sometimes, but they can make your life so much easier, so much so that at the end, when you close, they actually send you a letter and say how thankful they are, how appreciative they are of you. So you do have to understand and navigate, and don't be greedy in spending a little bit of money in order to get it to the finish line.
Absolutely. And, I'd love for us to maybe just go over some of the basics of, like, maybe one of your bigger deals or one of your more exciting deals, just to give people the idea of like, what kind of properties do work for this and what they might expect to like go through, right?
So my buying criteria, or my criteria of the properties that I target, I always try to infuse them into other exit strategies. Exit strategy one is wholesale, right? I work also with a lot of private equity firms, like a lot of wholesalers do. So it's always a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,300 square feet, right? 1978, whatever their rules and regulations are of what they buy. But innovation is very similar. Those properties that are within a price range of 200 to 300,000, I notice I have the highest spreads in those areas because it's the medium home price, usually depending on the market that you're in, and you can get the bigger spreads in that price range, in my opinion. So I target those specifically, and I don't go necessarily with only home absentees or owner absentees. I go also with traditional homeowners that are just looking to sell, but they don't want to go through the sales process with realtors. Am I still touching on your question, or did I get
Yeah,
out?
no, this is good. This is good. Yeah, because you're talking about what type of properties you found
Yeah, yeah.
have been a
So
good fit.
So
Yep.
I try to box them in a situation where I have on a deal several exit strategies or creative deal, right? Because those properties that are 3-bedroom and 1-bathroom and they don't want to do innovation, maybe because they're in a hole, right? Maybe they have no equity. That happens too, a pre-foreclosure, whatever that is. Those are always maybe a good opportunity to pitch a creative deal, right? Subject to or seller owner finance. So I try to always merge them together. So I have the highest potential of execution or opportunity on every deal. The deals that I was the happiest on were the ones, and I always do, when I pitch wholesale, when I go in with a cash offer, and they are usually more steep, right? The price that you offer is much lower, and I can gauge that they're actually interested. And then even though I made a cash offer on it, now I'm doing an Novation because I know I can stretch much more out now on the spread, especially when the property is not in a bad condition. It maybe just needs new flooring in one room. I'm okay with paying a few $1,000s and get it up to date, but getting $20,000 more on top, right? So those are the deals I like the most, where I'm going in for cash, but I end up doing actually innovation because it just pays out.
Nice. Yeah, it's like a no-brainer where you're like, look, the risk is worth the reward for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same way too. Like if there's minimal work, like cleaning it out, helping them move, maybe some flooring and paint, as long as the numbers make sense, because those little things are the difference between a retail buyer being interested and it being like a cash only. Like if it's got a room where the flooring's all messed up, that is gonna, I mean, it's gonna hurt your sales price. You know what I mean?
100%.
Because the retail buyers are buying emotionally. But a lot of them, honestly, I would say the majority of them, I don't have to do any work as long as I can get it low enough,
And
sell
get
it
it
as
out
is.
right away.
Yeah, but when
Two
the
things
opportunity arises, if it works.
two things that I learned from you that saved me a lot of time and effort and money. I mean, it helped me so much. Was number one, don't go on a flat MLS. It just takes so much time. It's a pain in the ass. I did my first deal through that, and I was like dealing with these agents. I want to shoot myself. This is just too dumb. All these paperwork, all this bullshit they want from me, I don't want to do it with it. I have to make sure I'm getting deals in and not waste my time on this petty dishwasher situation, right? So, number one, right after the first deal, I never went on the flat MLS anymore. Not because it's a bad thing, it's just very time consuming. And if you value time, that's not the way to go. Number two was FHA versus conventional loans. Big difference, because you told in one of your sessions that you prefer, even when you get less money, you rather go with a conventional than FHA because the appraisal value is always a little bit different. They always find something to nitpick for you to fix. And so I followed that advice as well, and often I decide to take lower offers if I know the property might have some issues with the appraisal, and I'm okay with taking less but go conventional. Those two things that you had taught me really helped me a lot in having less issues throughout the process. Help me
Awesome.
scale faster. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Because once you accept an offer, you're committed. You know what I mean? And if the FHA doesn't work out or you find out there's something like the FHA and VA loans, a lot of times they won't let you give credits. You have to come out of pocket. And if a buyer falls out, if you know what I mean, restarting the process, you're not starting from where you left off. Like you're starting way
Again,
behind.
yeah, and you lose time. You know
You're in
what we
danger.
did
Yeah.
just on a deal? We signed yesterday an offer. What we did on the deal, which was great. Got it on the contract for 270. Got an offer in for 320 and 330. Now the 330 FHA, the 320 conventional, 10,000 down, pretty solid. But on the 320, they wanted us to do some fixes on the roof. And we know the roof is a little bit effed up. Now, the 330 with the FHA, they did not ask that. Why not? Because they're strategic. They know the appraisal is going to come in and going to butcher this, and we have to drop with the price. But they, from the beginning, asked for $8,000 in credits. So we were like, how are we going to do it? Because if we go with a 320 conventional, we have to fix the roof a little bit. It takes time, we don't want to go that route. If we go with a 330, we know they're going to come back butcher us, but then we are tied up on this deal and we have to make it work, and we have no leverage. The goal is always to create leverage. So what we pushed then to the FHA lender and to the agent, we said, okay, how about this? If the appraisal comes lower, and we wanted to sell for 320, that was our goal. If the appraisal comes lower than 318, every dollar that it comes down from there goes away from your credit, from your $8,000 credit. So this way, even if they drop it to 310, the worst that we have to lose is like how much? $4,000. The rest will come from their credit, and the lender already approved it. So they cannot put pressure on us and say like, hey, if you don't come with a price, we're having out, and EMD will come back to us. Now they are really committed, right? So these are these things that you learn throughout the process where you can gain leverage and even on an FHA make a deal work. But yet I had to learn it first. And that was with your advisors to get to that mindset.
Was that strategy? Was that something that was suggested by your listing agent, or is that something
So
that you heard?
Dawn and I, we almost speak every day because there's always something that's
Oh,
going
that
on.
was with Dawn.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, Dawn's a
So
G.
we were sitting, and I wake up like at 4 a.m. here, go to the gym, and over there is already 8, 9. And we got the offer in, and we've been texting for hours trying to figure out what should he do. And well, he's a genius, right? After a couple of hours, he said, like, I know what we can do. We can do this. I was like, damn, that's a good idea. And then he pitched it. It worked. We signed, and we're in.
A flat fee broker wouldn't have given you that advice, right?
They wouldn't have given me nothing. Yeah. Forward
They'll
me
send
just
you an
email.
email, an
Yeah.
automated email.
Forward me
But no, it's
email.
crazy because I've had like 5 or 6 deals in this last month that because I was working with one of the top agents, they came up with some idea that I never would have thought of, and I
Mhm.
didn't even know it was possible, and it
Yeah.
saved our ass. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So like people are worried about giving them the extra 3%. Like, look, it's better to get the deal done than to try to take everything for yourself, run yourself ragged, and try to learn this whole other thing. You know what I mean? Like what they do is not anything like what we do. We're talking
Yeah.
to motivated sellers. They're dealing with agents, buyers, banks, and lenders.
Yeah.
Like it's two different ball
Very,
games.
very different. And setting expectations, right? When you talk to realtors, set the expectations straight from the beginning. I always say when I call, 90% of the time I want you to pick up. If you don't pick up, I won't be able to work with you because I won't have someone that I'm partnering with. You're my partner here. I'm not hiring you, just. I'm giving you 3% commission of my money, and you are part of it, right? Even if you want 3.5, I'm willing to give you 3.5 if you do your part, so I can actually go and get more deals. So setting expectation, I think, is very important, and people get to know you also throughout the first 2 deals. And if you are confident throughout the process, as well as you are with the sellers that you're talking to, people will understand that you're a guy that one, keeps your word. You got to keep your word.
Yeah.
That's number one. If you don't keep your word, you're going to lose long-term, short-term. That's no value in you. Your value in the market space is based on your value that you have in principles and integrity in that business. So if you don't have that, it's not going to work. But setting expectations with the agents or anyone that you talk to, it's key. It's really key because they're going to appreciate you.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And the right agents too, as long as we can communicate what it is that we do and what we're offering, they'll see our value. You know what I mean? There's a lot less properties on the market now. And I know Don's been running around doing tons of deals with you and staying super busy. I know he's expanding his business, and me and him are actually even working on some things too to help realtors transition into the
Mhm.
novation space and learn exactly how to line everything up and give them the blueprint. So that's killer. You know what I mean? And yeah, those types of relationships, that's what being a rainmaker is all about, is bringing in all the different elements and having everybody do what they're best at. You know what I mean? And not try to be a jack of all trades, finding one thing that you're really good at and just rinsing and repeating and setting up the machine, the conveyor belt, to keep the
Mhm.
deals flowing. Because, yeah, if you're trying to do everything yourself, there's always going to be a bottleneck in scaling. It's just
Always.
impossible.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're just happy making 10 to 20 or $20,000 a month and that's your ambition, that's great. Good for you because it's going to be easy on you. You don't have to deal with all this stuff. But if you're looking to make more and you want to think bigger, you really have to have a process, a setup, a system, and CRM, whatnot. Actually, one of the Rainmaker guys once reached out on Facebook. I jumped on a Zoom with him, and he had one of the problems that he had was it was taking him so much time to dial and do all this stuff because he had to click to dial. You know what a click? Yeah. I was like, dude, you got to just upgrade that. If you upgrade just that, forget about everything else we discussed. Just update this. It's going to literally cost you maybe $150 more a month. You will probably reach 100 or 200% more people. He did that, and within a day, he was like, "Oh my gosh, what is this? This is amazing!" So these little things can really make a huge difference in your pipeline and with the amount of people you talk to, and ultimately the deals you make.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now I know we're running down on time. Do you have time to just walk
Yeah,
us through like
go ahead.
one specific deal here and just kind of give like the from start to finish, just the overhead view of everything?
They're all pretty similar. What kind of nuance would you like to hear the most? Is that one that is problematic or one that is very simple?
No, either one, whichever one you want to talk about. It's
Okay,
fine. You can just pick one. Like there doesn't have to be
there is
for
one.
us it's going to seem like a mundane deal, like oh, it's just another one. But for the people listening, right, may have no idea about like Novation deals. And if you could just take it from the lead coming in, how you guys talked, how you pitched the Novation, listing it, selling it.
Okay, so you want me to go through the whole process? Okay, good. So let's hypothetically assume, not hypothetically, what happened? A lead gets pushed into my calendar. Every day I have a calendar. I see all the appointments scheduled for me to talk to, right? If I have less people scheduled, I just follow up with people. If I have people fully scheduled, I can just call those scheduled ones. Like today, as an example, I have 1, 2, 3, like about 18 phone calls scheduled. So what I do is I call them and I basically start my process. Now, I do not exactly follow a script. And the reason why I don't do that is I have to match it up with my personality. It has to be me, right? That way it comes off authentic. I'm going to automatically sound and feel more confident. And therefore, the belief and trust can build upon that, right? So I don't follow an exact script, but I just start how I always start based on a wholesale deal. And I transition throughout listening to the seller and their needs accordingly. If someone says, I have no equity, my life is shit, I don't know what to do, which happens, okay, this might be a creative, maybe innovation, but that's what I'm leaning towards, like leaning towards one or the other. And then I continue controlling the conversation, lean towards that one exit strategy. If it's just a standard process, I will lean towards the wholesale approach, right? So it's not much about what you say, it's about what they say, what you consume, and it can extract in terms of the motivation and the real true agenda to navigate the conversation. But listening is really the key factor here. And a lot of them lie. A lot of them lie. And it's not they're lying because they're bad people. Like a lot of other people, they have been burned, they've been taken advantage of. A lot of wholesalers called them and didn't know what they were doing. Worst part is if they got under contract already twice and twice they didn't close on that person. You know how difficult it is to get that person under contract? Very difficult. So you got to be humble, you got to be compassionate, you got to give them value without expecting something in return. One of the lines that I always say, like, my goal is here at the end, I'm not the one that's going to buy your property. I'm just the one that makes the phone calls. But my goal here is if we have synergy and we can work you, we will, and it will be great. If not, I want to at least be able to provide you some value so you can reach your goal, whatever that may be.
I love that.
Usually when I say that, it's like the dynamic shifts a little bit, right? They're like, okay, you don't sound like the asshole from yesterday. I will try to keep it easy on you. It's still not over, right? But now you're getting maybe a little bit excess in. So you got to be compassionate and understand what that person going through. And let's say I'm going through a novation pitch. I like the deals that I like the most is if I don't have to explain it too much to them. Because what I do always at the beginning of my conversation, I set expectations and I tell them exactly what we are doing. I say the properties that we add into our portfolio do one of two things. Number one, we either buy them and keep them for ourselves as a rental property, renting out to families. Or number two, we buy them, fix them or not fix them, and resell it immediately. I make sure I underline an emphasis of immediately, because I know that comes to use at the end of the conversation when I want to say, you know what, we decided to, what we're going to do with this property is we're going to sell it to our network of buyers and partners. We might even partner up with another person on it. I think the price that you're asking for of 280 is reasonable. We are very close. We are not exactly at that price. We're right now at 168. And then I carry on depending on the response. Let me put you on the hold, go back, and stuff like that. So I don't go exactly based on a specific rate. I make it my own based on the situation and energy and flow I get. So the deals that I like the most is, obviously everyone likes those, when they from the get-go don't ask for Zillow price, because they know they need a new roof. I don't have to educate them on that. They are just being reasonable. Let's call it, I love to work with reasonable people.
Oh, yeah. If they're reasonable and they tell the truth and then they tell you what's really going on, it makes it very easy to solve their problems.
Yeah,
but normally half the battle is getting all that out of them.
Yeah, you can solve their problem. They're happy, you're happy. But unfortunately, a lot of people are afraid. But so once I get them on the contract, the first thing that I do, the key is getting them on the contract. So yeah, I want to move forward with 168. Are you sure you want to move forward? Yeah, I want to move forward. Is your wife on board? My wife is on board. Is she there? She's there. Are you available in 10 minutes to jump on a call so we can go over it and sign? Yes. Let's say everything on this goes smooth. There are a lot of layers of things that can happen in that aspect. You know that. Without going over them, let's assume everything goes well. And you go and they sign. I call right away my agent and say, this address, when can you go? Walk through, ARV, when can we list, cleaning, and pictures. So when I know a person I'm work with, that's the basic. I don't want to have to consistently explain, right? So walk through, when, cleaning, when, pictures, when, so I can communicate with the seller accordingly. When that all happens, the listing goes on. And usually we like to do it before the weekend so we can offer it in on Monday. And then we will see how the market responds to it, right? That's always like, did you do your homework right? Did you comp the property right? Did you really understand what you're getting into? And let's say we get an offer in, I just go to, and that happened just yesterday. And that happens almost every single time, by the way. Hey, Michael. So I'm going to have my agent, whatever his name is, send you the docs. for your acknowledgement. This agreement is between me and the end buyer and partner that I'm bringing in on the table. But this is just for your acknowledgement. Nothing is going to change between you and I, our agreement. The $360,000 that we agreed upon is exactly still the same. But I need you to bring you in because we need your acknowledgement because you are part of closing. And every time it happens, I'm not going to sign it. And you know why that happens? They go through the question and they say, seller agrees to give end buyer $8,000 credit at closing, right? So they say my name is on it and it says me as a seller is going to give that person credit. So often I always have to explain, I know that's what it says, but it means me because you and I have a contract at 360. So that is when you look at this paragraph, it says exactly that no matter what happens in this agreement between me and the end buyer, that number stays the same. And then they sign. They sign. Those are actually the best parts. And then it goes into inspection. If you did your homework right, the inspection should be a no-brainer. Then it goes over appraisal. If you did your appraisal right, it should also, be a no-brainer. Usually these banks and appraisals, they want to make the deal work. Nobody is there to make it not work, right? And as long as you do your work and you don't go with the highest comp property in the area and forget about all the other ones that sell for 300, but you go to the one that sells for 500, that one single one, then you're on a good path. And then you just go through closing. And then you have the title and the attorney sometimes that you have to sometimes explain a little bit further how it works. I always set, again, with everyone, very clear expectations. When I work with a new attorney or title, I call them. I expect them to call me. If they don't, I fire them instantly because I don't want to deal with people. I get on the phone, I explain to them, do you understand exactly what's happening? And I bring my agent in too to explain it to them if they need to. But I don't want any surprises, and everything you need, it has to go through me. Oh, in this state, we don't do that. Okay, you're fired. I'm going to go to someone else. Because, some attorneys make their own laws. Like, this attorney was telling me we don't do notarized mobile notaries. It's illegal in the state of Georgia. Dude, I've done many deals with, mobile notaries, and some people make their own laws, but you can get rid of them fairly quick. And then when you find someone that you did 3-4 deals with, that's the one where you want to build your inner circle. My inner circle is like my most important assets. You want to have a group of inner circle people that when you call them to pick up, they get the deal done. They go the extra length because they're hungry and eager to be successful. And usually those people are married with kids, in my opinion, most of them. So all those people that are not married and not having kids, don't get upset. I still work with you, but not all of them are hungry. When you have kids and you have a family, you have an obligation towards little children that look at you every morning and say, I love you. Please give me a good life. It's not just you going home watching Netflix with your girlfriend that is just wants to hang out. So building an inner circle is very important. So I would watch out anybody that wants to get into this business and also do Novation specifically. There are a lot of people that are going to be involved in the deal. You have to have an eye out for the people that you want to work with long term and consider them in your inner circle and be very strict with your values and principles. Because if anyone doesn't match your values and principles, no hard feelings, but we don't have to love everybody. Kick that person out and replace them with someone else.
Yes. Yeah. The people that are directly involved in your business, your closers, your realtors, and your title companies and attorneys, it's very important that you guys, your values align, your perspective aligns, your work ethic aligns. Like, otherwise, it's not going to work out. And it doesn't mean that they're bad or you're bad. It's just not a match. But you need people that have the same type of energy as you and the same type of values. Because, yeah, they're going to play a crucial role. Like, if you and your realtor don't look at things the same way, it's going to be an issue.
Yeah. Yeah. I had this one realtor that was really funny. I'm like, she's like, this property has a sinkhole or had a repaired sinkhole. I'm like, okay, so what are we going to do? I expect her to tell me what we're going to do because she's experienced, right? And she said, well, we have to disclose it to everybody. I'm like, okay, disclose it. How are you going to disclose it? And she disclosed it like the most, like she's guilty of a crime. I was like, if you pitch it like that, nobody's going to buy the house. And I realized throughout the conversation that she's just not, even she was a nice lady, but she's not fit for that position because she almost feels guilty marketing herself and selling. Well, if you feel guilty in selling because you think salespeople are bad, that I hear it based on the way you speak, you cannot work for me because you got to sell for me all the time because you have to represent me and my company. If you're not
Yeah.
if you're not able to sell yourself or anyone else, don't even try because cannot work with investors.
Yeah, the realtor is such a crucial
Yeah.
role. Like you definitely your realtor needs to be able to educate you. They need to be so far beyond what you would be able to do on yourself. That's what makes them worth paying them money and bringing them on and feeding them consistent deals. Like if it's someone that's just like either on your level or below your level, it's not the right fit. Like you need someone that's an all-star. That's basically half your business is selling it. Like you got to get them in, but you don't get paid until the deal
Yeah.
clears.
Yeah.
And you need someone that has a good overview, that knows their market, that's experienced, that's hungry, that communicates. It's tough shoes to fill. And that's why like when I find a good one, I'll hold on to it. You know what I
You
mean? So
have to. You have to, and be willing to even pay them more. On one of my deals, I paid the agent made more money than I did. On one of my deals, it was a tight situation, and the agent made more than I did. And I was thinking about it because I never expect that to happen because you think they're getting 3% and you're the one. I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what? This guy is worth every penny. The fact that we closed on it, everything is smooth. I don't care that I made less. I'm still happy with the outcome. And when there is a deal and we need to make adjustments, like we had one, um, I said to the agent, hey, I'm not sure about this. How sure are you? He's like, I think we can make this happen. I'm like, hey, this seller wants 5,000 EMD. It's a agent too, but in Florida. I'm okay going 2,500 in, taking the risk. Do you want to go in it with me? He's like, yeah. So we put each $2,500 in, and then what happened is throughout the process we had to drop the price. So he says that I'm going to give my commission away. It's fine. I was like, no, we're going to make it work because the other buyer agent didn't want to, he was greedy to fill in the void to make it all work for everybody. So we shared how to structure the deal where we get equally just paid just to get out of the deal and yet be positive. So you're literally having a partner in this. It's not just someone providing you a service. You're having a partner with this. There will be deals where he or she needs to adjust himself, right? And you need someone that is able and willing to do that. And you can only do that with someone that has a little bit of money. If you're dealing with an agent that is desperate of doing just 2 deals a year, don't bother working with that person.
yeah. Agreed. Agreed. Man, definitely appreciate you coming on here, brother. Like you drop gems and gems. We'll definitely have to get together on like a live or something sometime soon. Um, but yeah, appreciate you, man. Let everybody know. So if they want to JV with you or they wanted to potentially work with you in some capacity, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you? Social media handles, whatever.
Well, first of all, appreciate you having me here. I'm always happy to help as much as I can. I understand the struggles going through this process, especially when you get just started. If you have any questions about lead generation, feel free to. My phone number is actually here. I put it next to my name here on the username. So feel free to text me or reach out on Instagram as Red Hour, right? So REDHOUR. If you need help with acquisition, ask me. I will let you know. If you want to know what tools I'm using, what CRM, what dialer, and whatnot, reach out. If you need to dispo a property and you don't know how to dispo it, or you don't have the right end buyers, or you need help with the novation process, no matter what it is, just reach out. If I can help you, I will help you. And we can JV if you like, or I can just drop some suggestions for you to get to where you want to be.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you, brother. And thank you
Thank
too
you.
for all your contributions in our members only community. I know you're like a major poster in there. You're always helping people out. So We definitely appreciate you, and thank you for sharing your story too. You know what I mean? You didn't have to do that, so I appreciate it, and I'm sure there's going to be people that are inspired, motivated, and it'll help their lives. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Richard.
All right.